As an advertising and public relations major, I came to study abroad in South Korea looking forward to all the advertising I was going to see. It might sound underwhelming or insignificant to most people, but as someone who comes from a state in the Midwest of America, it's hard to find advertising that isn't about farming, sports, or Jesus. Aside from that, I'm also a K-pop fan, and seeing how intertwined K-pop and advertising are in South Korea, the entire concept sounded more than ideal to me. It's the perfect match for my career interests and my personal interests. However, it didn't take me long to realize that if something seems too good to be true, it's probably because it really isn't all that good. For South Korea, modernization was a set goal, one that arose from the 1988 Olympics. On September 1st, 1980, South Korea held the inauguration for their 11th president, Chun Doo-hwan. During his presidency, the economy was in a bad state and political unrest led to an economic recession. So when Doo-hwan wanted to host the 1988 Olympics, everyone was completely bewildered. Many wondered if it would even be possible. But as a former army general and a military dictator, Doo-hwan was determined to see it through. The Olympics were a globally televised event, which meant that South Korea was going to be under the public eye. Doo-hwan saw this as an opportunity. During the years that led up to the Olympics, South Korea underwent what became known as compressed modernity. 4 billion viewers were seeing an idealized version of South Korea. Every South Korean was expected to contribute to this process of modernization, and everyone was willing to do so for the overall good of the country. However, there were some members of society that made sacrifices more significant than others. In 1986, the people of Sangyeong-dong were evicted from their homes. The old buildings in which many Koreans lived were considered an eyesore to Seoul and were turned down to be replaced with modern apartments instead. The people living in the old buildings became homeless, but were ignored and pushed to a corner so that their poor state of living wouldn't be perceived by the viewers of the Olympics. These people were ultimately another eyesore for Korean society. What was globally praised as a fascinatingly quick modernization was significantly harmful to many members of Korean society who didn't manage to catch up. South Korea recorded more suicides than any other nation, and it has been ranking first since 2003. It appears that modernity and mortality have gone hand in hand. This phenomenon is unique to South Korea, and its results are quite significant. However, ever since the Olympics, South Korea has been working to show off only the positive aspects of itself to the world, and for this reason tends to hide and ignore all of its flaws. Unfortunately, it seems that people's mental health issues fall under that umbrella of flaws. So members of this group are left with two options: suicide, which is seen as an act of innocence in Korean society, or some type of coping mechanism. It's been noticed that those least likely to commit suicide in Korea are religious individuals. Religion gives people something to believe in, devote themselves to, and find comfort in. Many Koreans view K-pop as simply another group, with concepts they've already heard and pretty faces they've already seen. However, for struggling individuals, K-pop has been a sanctuary. Alienation was a result of compressed modernity, but with time, it has developed even further, and through newer generations, it has become more and more normalized. It's not uncommon for Korean students to not have any friends, and although the concept of individuality is more common with this new generation, it has resulted in a feeling of loneliness for many. Aside from a music genre, K-pop is popularly known as a community that many of these lonely individuals seek. Similar to a religion, K-pop gives a sense of comfort to many and brings people together. Everything about K-pop is open to interpretation, and for this reason, fans are able to perceive K-pop as what they desire and need at the moment. There are 3 levels to a parasocial relationship: entertainment social, where the celebrity is a source of gossip, entertainment; intense personal, where it's intense, and there are compulsive feelings towards the celebrity; or borderline pathological, which is where we see uncontrollable behaviors and fantasies. Whether regular or borderline delusional, K-pop stans are loyal, and their loyalty is so impactful that it's now become the source of profit for K-pop groups. This is known as fan labor. So considering how profitable fan labor can be, what can we imagine businesses and advertisers do about it?
이번 시즌 눕시를 더 짧게 눕시 더 슛
만족.
North Face White Label
이제 즐거워질 시간. 신선함이 가득, 즐거움이 가득. 함께하는 이 순간이 즐거워. Eat fresh, feel good. Subway.
It's undeniable that this is an amazing advertising strategy. Fans are loyal and are willing to spend time and money on their favorite idols. So how is a good advertiser expected to not take advantage of this? Fans will buy products simply because their idols told them to, and they'll spend unreasonable amounts of money on drinks just so that they can get the sense that they're celebrating their idol's birthday with them. All these things and more encourage these parasocial relationships and make huge profits for businesses. But what are we really doing? Are we encouraging a potentially unhealthy coping mechanism simply because it's profitable? And by encouraging this coping mechanism, are we only further encouraging the neglection of the actual issue at hand? I always viewed advertising in South Korea in a positive light. As a consumer, I enjoyed the familiarity I had with the celebrities in the advertisements. And as an advertising major, I was astounded by its effectiveness. However, I never stopped to think of why it was really so effective, or how it could affect some individuals. Back to the Olympics. Are K-pop stans the new version of the people evicted from their homes? Are we benefiting from their sacrifices and ignoring their well-being at the same time? Even if this is the case, these groups are a coping mechanism nevertheless. So is this good or bad? Yes, we're profiting off of mental health and encouraging some extreme behaviors, but it works for both parties. After realizing how the entire business model for advertising in South Korea works, I have to ask myself a few questions as both a fan of K-pop and someone going into the advertising industry. Like, am I willing to work for an industry that profits off of the mental health of individuals? Is there a way to consume and create advertising without the negative effects? Honestly, I'd have to admit that even though there is a negative side to it, I still admire Korean advertising.